Okay, guys, we're back to talk more NBA draft, and we've all got our favorite players in this year's draft. I've got a few pet prospects, but one thing is for sure, between Duke and Kentucky, we're going to have, I'm going to say, at least 6 first-round picks, and that's kind of a no-doubter. Yep. I don't think there's anybody else that's draft eligible on those teams, but we're going to take a look at the Kentucky Wildcats prospects today. So the big ones, we've got Keldon Johnson, PJ Washington, and Tyler Herro. Not necessarily in that order. Eli, you're picking. What order would you take them in? Who do you think is the best NBA prospect out of that threesome?
So it was PJ Washington, Tyler Herro, and then who else was it again?
Keldon Johnson.
Keldon Johnson. Okay, I take PJ, Keldon, and then Tyler in that order.
PJ Washington first.
Yep.
Okay, so PJ Washington is in my mind probably the safest pick.
Mm-hmm.
6'10"
Yep.
Just a really solid guy. Do you think he plays as a rookie?
Like starting?
Well,
or just starting.
Starting.
Okay. See, it depends on what team he's playing for, because he's in that range of players where, it's between a couple of teams that he can play for. I think he should play for most teams in the NBA. He should start for them.
Okay. Now, as a Celtics fan, taking into account what your team needs are, okay. Which of these guys would you pick for the Celtics?
Tyler Herro. Shooting.
Mm-hmm. Just strictly for shooting.
Yeah. I mean, we can't shoot for crud because we pass it out way too much. We can't shoot, so what's the point?
Sure.
Right?
Okay. I think that it's an interesting question. Which of these guys, turns out to be the better pro? I don't think it's an obvious thing. So, for me, PJ Washington is the most refined, but I think he, the fact that he stayed in school, making him the sort of the older, more seasoned player, you would kind of expect that from him.
Yeah.
Now, if I look at the other two, Herro has probably the most well-rounded game. He comes from being a kind of a star player in high school, scoring 30 points a game and even having a few games where I think he's dropping somewhere in the 40s. Mm-hmm. Keldon Johnson doesn't really come off as that kind of a player. And I'm not even sure what position Keldon Johnson is in the league. Is he a 3? Probably. So what does he bring to the table? He really rebounds the ball well. He's a gritty defender. And that's about it. Now, is that going to work in the NBA? He's kind of a mediocre three-point shooter, catch and shoot kind of guy when he's open. He's maybe something like a 35%, three-point shooter in college. That said, he's probably my favorite player out of this group because he's a bulldog. He's just a dog on defense. He's always getting after it. He's got extremely long arms. He's pretty fast in a straight line. The one thing that I think is going to be the downfall for this crew is none of them, Herro and Keldon Johnson at least, they just don't have a very good first step. I just don't see Herro being able to create separation. He's got a couple of moves where he does this sort of a fake drive into a step back where he can create separation. There are things called scouting reports in the NBA, and I just don't think that's going to work. He'll be a nice spot shooter, but for me, I think that I'm going with PJ, and then I'm going with Keldon Johnson, and then I'm going with Tyler Herro. But the thing that's so interesting about these three guys is that I have them all really close.
Yeah.
I think
interchangeable.
They're in terms of their raw talent level, I have them all in that kind of 10 to 15, maybe 10 to 16 or 18 type of range. Do you like Brandon Clark better than these guys? Just as a random example.
In my opinion, I think the only person that I would take over Brandon Clark is PJ Washington.
Okay.
I think Brandon Clark, I think he's great. You know, not amazing, but great.
He's going to be an impactful defender, I think, at the next level. And you just have to have at least one talent. I think that's where Herro might find a role, even if he just spots up in the corner like Jason Tatum did sort of his rookie year and just knocks down corner threes.
And or if he's able to just run around like JJ Redick, find himself open all the time. If he's able to do that, that's way more impactful than people think. JJ Redick's a lot more important for the 76ers than what people may think.
This thing that JJ Redick does is it is an art, you know. It's a craft. People think, oh yeah, he just runs around with his like a chicken with his head cut off, and then when he gets it, he just fires up a three and swishes it.
Yeah.
No,
it's way more difficult than it looks.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult what he does, and he's perfected it like very few people have. Okay, so summarizing the Kentucky prospects, we got PJ Washington. We think is the best of them. Do you like him on the Celtics?
Not really.
Not really. Okay, so we're not really in love with PJ Washington.
I think it's just the current situation with how many forwards we have.
He's a little redundant with Horford. You'd really like Horford to be playing the four, but I won't make this a Celtics discussion. But PJ Washington is the best of them. Right behind him is Herro and Keldon Johnson, and I don't think you can really put much separation between them.
There, just like equal with each other, pretty much.
Who is the highest risk to just completely flop and bust out of the NBA and not have a career?
Between those three?
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Okay, highest risk. Keldon Johnson, because I think Tyler Herro was made to shoot, and that could. I mean, if you could shoot the ball like that well, like the way he does, I mean, you already have kind of a career. Even if you're like trash, you're not playing. You're still gonna be, or you play every once in a while, a couple minutes. You're still gonna play, right? Keldon Johnson. There's a lot of defensive players in this league right now, and they're amazing at it. So for him to be like a defensive-minded player, you have to be really, really good at that, and you can't create your own shot. You might flop.
Like maybe like an Andre Roberson type.
Yeah.
And then Tyler Herro could end up being like a Kyle Korver. Everybody is in this rush to pigeonhole people like, oh, there's a guy, he's white, he can shoot it. And so let's say that he's going to be like another guy who's white and can shoot it. Yep. See, I think Herro's game is a lot more well-rounded than a guy like Kyle Korver. They both have physical limitations, and I think that Herro is going to have some trouble getting his shot just the way that Korver would. But Herro has a little bit more juice, a little bit more ISO game, and can get it on his own. And he's a tough shot maker. Kyle Korver is not really a tough shot maker. He just knocks down open threes.
Yeah. He
can do it with a hand in his face, but that's not what I mean by tough shot. Herro's one of those guys. He catches it, he's falling out of bounds, and he's off balance, and he's just like, I used to do this out by my garage, and he just buries it. That's what I mean by tough shot maker. Okay, so I think that summarizes the Wildcats. You would take Rui Hachimura over all of them, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I'm a big fan.
All right, let's go Rui. All right, thanks.